Welcome to another session of Veterans of the Cedar Valley. My name is Tom Haggerty. I'll be your host for this session. Our plans have been to have about 20 of these sessions to explain veterans issues and veterans concerns. In the last few programs, we've been interviewing veterans from various services and what they did in the service. Today, it's not that we are changing pace or anything, but we're not going to the dogs, so in case anybody wants to have a concern. But my guest today for this half of the show is Navy veteran Tom Brohl, and I'll let Tom introduce his guest to his left. Welcome to the show, Tom.
Thank you.
Tell us about your partner here.
This is Macy, and she helps us do honor guard with the AMVETs. And
Macy's been helping not only the Cedar Falls AMVETs with military service rights for funerals, but she's well known in the Cedar Valley, Evansdale, Waterloo, and always is willing to help out if the circumstances call for it. Tom, is Macy considered a service dog per se?
She's not really considered a service dog, but she does a lot of services for me and as well as the community for doing the honor guard.
Okay, I skipped over a little bit about your background. Tell us, you were in the Navy?
Navy Seabees.
And CB is Special
Construction Battalion.
Construction, okay. And where did you, what years were you in the service and where did you serve?
I served I went to boot camp in Great Lakes. I went to Davisville, Rhode Island for my builder school. I went to counterinsurgency school in Little Creek, Virginia. Then from there I did a year in Vietnam. I came home from Nam in '71, went to work at the railroad, and then I got married in '72, and '73 I went to work at John Deere's.
So are you retired from John Deere then?
Yes, I'm retired. I retired in '05, but I worked with the city of Waterloo Leisure Services, mowing South Hills Golf Course.
Okay. Well, enough about you. Let's talk some more about Macy. How old is Macy?
She'll be 6, April 22nd.
And did you get Macy as a puppy?
Yes, I did.
And where did you find, I mean, I'm always marveling at the fact that Macy is so calm and just doesn't get disturbed. She's a very nice dog. Where did you pick Macy up?
I got her from a gentleman, Doug Powell, from Janesville.
And he has, now Macy is a lab?
Pure bred lab,
okay.
Yellow.
And when you brought her home, did you know she was going to be like a calm, collected type, cool dog?
Well, when I picked her out of the litter, she was one of the ones that would just, when I come around, she would sit. Yeah, sit. She would sit next to me and look at me.
She's getting a little concerned because we're talking about her and all that. But
come on.
When Macy is used as a service dog, we've got some pictures up on the screen of her at military rights. Normally, you're assigned to do the bugle, and Macy will sit right to your left and responds to hand signals. But I think the neatest thing about waiting for Macy to help out on a military funeral is the fact that she sits in the truck, your truck, and she waits she knows that you're out there. And when you put on the AMVET's hat and the vest, which we'll talk about in a minute, she's ready to go. And how does she react when you play the bugle?
She just sits there just like calm as it can be. And even when we fire, she sits there just nice and calm as can be. Just
and
like
we were out at a military rights north of Cedar Falls, and she was like a pointing dog. And I said, I think I asked her, I said, what's wrong, or what's she doing? She had spotted some horses. But she didn't lose track of where she was. I think the Air Force Blue Angels flew over all that, but she's very, very dedicated to being at your side and helping. Now, at a funeral, when the funeral is over, do you have anybody from the family that comes up and wants to pet Macy?
Yes.
How does that happen? How does
Yes. Once in a while that happens. They'll usually wait till they get back to the truck, and then they come over to the truck. And I had one lady, this was so, oh yeah, it's heart touching. Her dad loved dogs. And she started bawling, and she started petting her, and saying how nice it was having her there because my dad loved dogs, and she was crying. And it was just a comfort for the lady, though, also, because it's soothing with her.
And some of the AMVET members at the Cedar Falls AMVETs have gotten attached to Macy, so-called, and they, while you were gone, one of them was taking care of Macy, and when you came back, they presented the vest that she has on, and she wears that at the funerals. And then, especially during the winter, I think you have a nice, comfy cushion of carpet that she sits on so that she's not cold. And it's just amazing how calm she is. Right now she's a little antsy because of the studio cameras and all that, but we'll get past that. But I'm sure that people appreciate, they look and they see the dog out there, and they wonder, wow, you know, like, is that dog part of the AMVET's honor guard? Yes, she is. But she's also part of the Cedar, the Evansdale, the Waterloo Honor Guard, and other organizations. But we're tickled to have Macy in the studio today and on this program. It's a little diversion from our normal guests. We would spend time talking about your service in the Navy, but we tried to get Macy on previously, but there was a concern or a problem, so we had to cancel. And I'm glad that we were able to get her here. Macy does Macy do any other activities outside the family?
She duck hunts with me. She also rides in the back of the Harley and wears goggles when she rides.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yes,
And one of the biggest things, and she's never been taught any of this, one of the biggest things with her, I've had some PTSD from Vietnam, and I'm laying in bed sleeping, and all of a sudden I'm having a bad nightmare. I have this little girl here, she's nudging me, waking me up.
Before you wake up, she is telling you that you might be having an episode.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
That's okay.
The part about riding on a motorcycle, how the heck does she stay on?
I got a...
Okay, she's getting antsy.
Yeah. I got a strap that I put around her. Come on, over here. Over next to Dad.
Come here, Mace.
Mace, come on.
We'll spend all... Anyway, but...
I have a cut here.
Yeah. She rides on the motorcycle and just stays right on. She's never fallen off.
Nope.
It's no danger to you.
Nope.
And she enjoys it. When she's duck hunting, is she a water dog then?
Yes. Sit.
Okay. We've pretty much come to the end of this half of our show, and it's about time, Macy says, because she's getting
warm too with that vest on.
We're gonna call it a day, but with this part of our show, and we're glad to have had Macy come finally, Tom. And number one, I appreciate what she does for families during the funerals. It's touching to look out there, I'm sure, and see. One thing, you said that she hunts with you ducks, and that brings me back to my final question about the military rights. When she's standing next to you and you're on the rifle squad and they fire their rifles, what's her reaction?
She don't really flinch at all. She just sits there like a good little girl, and then once in a while she'll look straight up like this, looking for something to fall.
Well, we're glad again that we had her and you bring her, and thank you very much for your service in Vietnam. And Macy, thank you for your service for future military funerals. We're going to take a commercial break at this time, and we will be back for our second half of the Veterans of the Cedar Valley. Please come back. Just wait.
We all know that the Cedar Valley is a great place to live and work. And there are many individuals and organizations that are doing their part to improve the quality of life for everyone that calls this their home. On Serving the Valley, we sit down with these service organizations to learn more about different projects and events that need your support. We all need to do our part to help out our community. Tune into Serving the Valley to learn more.
Dear CFU, we had Rick out today to inspect our gas furnace and fireplace. He noticed the fireplace logs were installed wrong back when our condo was built and fixed them. Then he installed my new furnace filter, which usually takes me half an hour and a few choice words I learned in Cleveland. If all of your employees are like Rick, you have a great team. Thanks for the great service.
Cedar Falls Utilities, our family serving your family.
I am a future Panther.
I am excited for college.
I am building my skills.
I'm trying new things.
I am shaping the future.
I am ready for the real world.
I am a success.
I am you and I.
I am you and I. You can be too.
Welcome back to our second half of this session of Veterans of the Cedar Valley. My name is Tom Hagerty. I'll be your host for the rest of this show. In our first half, if you came back from that, you watched Macy, the service dog, or the AMVET service dog, who was a guest here with her owner, Tom Brohl, who was in the Navy. And Macy helped out at AMVET funerals, and she still does. We have some pictures on the screen of her performing, or not performing, but assisting at military funerals. For the second half of our show, we're happy to have in the studio Mike Moore, who is a Navy veteran, and he's retired from the post office like I am. Doesn't mean that's why he's on the show, but he had an unusual duty station in the Navy, and we're going to visit with Mike about his experiences there. Welcome to the show, Mike.
My pleasure, Tom.
First off, just give me a little background of yourself. Where'd you go to school and service and stuff?
Raised in Northeast Iowa, went to school 3 different places, West Union, Fredericksburg, and finally Cresco. I graduated from there in '73. Joined the Navy right out of high school, and 4 years, and then I went to work for the post office and retired there after 33 years.
And then you went into how long were you in the Navy?
4 years.
4 years from the time you got out of high school?
73 to 77.
Okay. And was Vietnam going then?
Yes, but
okay.
I joined November of '73, so Vietnam was winding down, and
okay.
So I wasn't concerned too much about being sent there. So.
But you were in the Navy, and you went to boot camp where?
I had my choice, in Chicago or San Diego. And middle of winter, Chicago or San Diego wasn't a tough choice. It was San Diego.
Okay, I was going to say, if you chose Chicago, because our next adventure will be about your duty location, yeah. But we'll get to that in a minute. When did you get, tell me what your specialty was?
I was a photographer.
Okay, did you know you were going to get that duty, or had you experience in that? Or
when I signed up, I wanted photography school. And so yes, when I enlisted, that's what I was going for. But it's kind of funny, my dad was a Korean War vet, and I was 17, so he would have to sign off on it. And took us 4 hours to convince him, and I said, Dad, I can wait till July when I'm 18, but there's no guarantee I'll get photography school then, so please sign. Well, after 4 hours, he finally relented. And
well, speaking of your dad, our opening photos on our show are courtesy of some photos of your dad and others that went on an honor flight, and we'll take a minute to thank him for his service and also you for providing those photos. Now let's get into, you're out of basic training, and have you gone to a technical school?
I went to photography school.
How long was that?
4 or 5 months in Pensacola, Florida.
Still in a nice warm area, right?
Yep.
Okay, then you graduate. How do you graduate from photography school?
Well, you just go through the course and they write off that, yes, you've succeeded at this task.
How many were in your class to be photographers?
Oh, it's been so long I can't remember.
Okay, you didn't take a picture. No, I'm sorry. Okay, so you get out of Pensacola school, and then you get your first duty station, which is the subject of the show today.
I get assigned to the Antarctic Devron 6 Squadron, which is home-based in Point Mugu, California, which is about 60 miles north of LA.
So you go from Pensacola to the Antarctic.
No, I go to California first.
Okay.
But the squadron that I'm in deploys to Antarctica from September to late January of every year, because that's in Antarctica, they're opposite our seasons, so it's their summertime when we're down there.
Like right now, it's their summer?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I had to laugh a little bit because a lot of the photographs you gave me, black and white, of snow. I mean, there's no use taking color photos of snow, but as a humorous sidebar, one of the pictures had you with a full red beard and a full red hair, a head full of red hair, and did you get to maintain that during basic training and tech school?
After boot camp.
After boot camp,
the Navy allowed beards.
Okay.
And I had one from probably my first year in the Navy all the way through until a couple years ago I decided to maybe trim a little bit of it off.
Okay, so. And then since you've retired, you've kind of gone in a different style, or anyway,
yes, I was a lot younger there, and it was fuller.
I'm just picking on you. But let's go, you arrive at your duty station in Antarctica, and that was called?
McMurdo Base, which is on the coast of Antarctica.
Okay, now is Antarctic just like solid ice and snow, or is it a land mass?
No, Antarctica is actually a continent, but it's covered by glacial sheets of ice and snow. So where we were at was on volcanic. We had a live volcano behind us, and I don't want to say the base because it's run by the National Science Foundation, so it's a station more or less. But we were on that volcanic ash.
What, now, is this station that you were at, is that an American base at the time, or is it an international base?
It's an American base.
Navy base?
No, it's not a Navy base because Antarctica Treaty, there are no claims. There are claims to Antarctica, but nobody can act on them because of the Antarctica Treaty. So you cannot have any military bases down there.
Who was the treaty with? Who lives in Antarctica?
Well, 56 countries at the time, I believe, signed the Antarctica Treaty saying that we would use that continent just for its experiments, and there would be no military activity on it at all.
So you arrived there, and you've left some nice warm climates, and you're down in the Antarctic. What's the highest temperature while you were there that it ever got?
Oh, it got into the 30s and 40s.
During the so-called summer?
Yes.
Okay.
The air down there, there's no humidity because it's all dry. Antarctica gets less rainfall per year than the Sahara Desert, basically.
And I think we had some pictures of some penguins as members of or they live there, it's their country, you know. But while you were there, what did you take pictures of?
We were there to support the scientists from the National Science Foundation. So they would be doing experiments, and you know, we would ferry them out onto the ice, take them away from the base, take pictures. They're drilling, they're studying the animal life, anything that they wanted pictures
You
of.
use like snowmobiles or?
No, we had LC-130s. They're a prop plane that we flew around in.
Oh, one of the big
Yeah.
fan planes?
Yep.
Or?
And at the time, they were the only planes that had skis on them. And we also had helicopters that we would fly them around in. Now, once in a while, if they were close to McMurdo, they would take a snowmobile out or something. But
It just fascinated me when you were telling me your service time in Antarctica. You were in the Navy. How did you get to Antarctica?
we flew.
We flew?
Yep, our squadron.
By the Air Force?
Nope,
Oh,
nope,
okay.
by the Navy. It was a Navy squadron I was attached to.
Okay.
So we would fly from California to New Zealand, and then we would go from New Zealand to Antarctica.
How long of a flight was that?
I never flew one of the props down. They always gave us a jet, but I remember one time it was like 15 hours coming back, no windows, and the seats pointed backwards.
Okay, it's about 10 a.m. in the morning here in Iowa. What time is it in the Antarctic at this time?
I couldn't tell you.
Is it ahead, behind,
they
the
are
same?
ahead of us by a day, but I used to know that, but I can't tell you that
Okay.
now. So.
Now, where did you live? In tents or?
No. McMurdo is just like a small town. It's got everything you need, fire department, there'd be movies, there's chapel, basketball courts.
But it's made up of people who are there doing experiments in
Yes,
the Navy.
yes.
Are there any towns or citizens in the Antarctica?
Well, like I say, you have stations. McMurdo is a station. Scott's Base, which is across the hill from us, is a station.
No native towns?
No,
Okay,
no.
so
The
it's
Sou-
just a mass of...
Yeah. The South Pole is a National Science Foundation station.
Just amazing. Now, you mentioned you were by a volcano. Were you there whenever the volcano went off?
You would see smoke coming out of it.
You feel the ground rumbling?
No, we never had an earthquake or never experienced an eruption.
Is the Antarctica made up of by a volcano, or just
no,
it's a landmass?
Yeah. So.
Okay, while you were there, how long were you there, Mike?
We would deploy from September to January every year, and I did it 3 times, and the rest of the time we were in the United States.
Okay, and how many people were in your particular field of expertise?
Photography, 10, 15 people, something like that.
And so you all went out and supported the staff of the National Science. What were they doing?
They were doing experiments, you know, on like the Waddell seals. When they dove deep down, they can shut off parts of their body so that they can conserve oxygen. So that was one of the things they were studying. I remember when I was down there, they were also doing tests if anybody got a cold. You know, they wanted to, because it was a separate environment away from everybody, and maybe they could find something.
I mean, if you can't tell me, don't tell me, but were the National Science Foundation people doing any type of military?
No, that was prohibited by the Antarctica
And
Treaty.
with you as a Navy, were you guys at all doing anything?
No, no, we were just supporting the scientists.
Okay. Now, while you were there, did any other foreign countries come up and join you or visit you?
Yep. Like I say, Scott's Base, just a couple miles from McMurdo, is run by the New Zealanders. The Soviets are at Vostok Station, and these are different places around the continent. You know, they're not all in one place. So.
Did you ever get to work with them on experiments supporting the?
No, not mainly.
Okay.
They did their own stuff, we did our own stuff.
Okay, again, you're in the Antarctica, so you got time off. Is there someplace you guys could go for a local dance or entertainment, or what did you do on your off time?
Well, we did a lot of exploring. Like I got a chance to fly to the South Pole twice on my time off. There were hills we climbed. We had basketball courts, and we got a movie every Saturday night.
Okay, my geography, and you found this out, I thought, I didn't know where Antarctica was, or below, but it's below South Pole.
It's at the South Pole.
The Antarctic is at the South Pole?
Yes.
Well, there you go. I shouldn't have never asked that. Now, you got to fly to the South Pole?
Yeah.
How far was that?
I think it's 800 miles from McMurdo to the South Pole.
Weekend pass or something?
No, it was just, okay, time off, and
Okay.
hey, we're flying one of our planes down there, so I just hopped aboard and went down. And
But you never were totally isolated in a cabin or anything?
No,
or
no.
You know, describe what you did live in, a bunker or no?
No, it was just like an apartment building. You know, you had your own rooms and
Permanent housing, and
Yep.
the next people that came in after you lived there. Is it still there?
McMurdo is. However, the photo lab that I worked in is not. They've torn that down. In fact, if I went back down now, I probably wouldn't recognize it because so many buildings have been replaced.
Wow. And so we're just about at the end of our second half, Mike, and like I said, I just thought it was amazing that you know, the Navy had, you were down there, and you know, and
There's one question you haven't asked me.
Okay, go ahead.
What was the coldest temperature I ever had down
yeah,
there?
I asked you what the highest temperature was. Okay, I'm sorry.
At minus 80, you're not supposed to go out of the huts, wind chill.
Minus 80 degrees? Wind chill or
wind
real
chill,
temperature?
wind chill.
Oh my God.
And we had a day when it was minus 120.
If you went out at minus 80, were there medical facilities there to take care of people?
Yep.
Wow. They're showing some of the transportation on the screen at ships and stuff and other things that, but I want to thank you for being our guest on here, because this, next to having Macy the service dog, which was unusual, you know, here we have somebody that was in the Antarctica. Now, when you left that duty station, where did you go?
Back to California.
Back to California. You ever want to go back to Antarctica?
Oh yeah, I'd like to go back for a week or two.
Really?
Yep.
No way.
Yep.
Anyway, well, they are showing some photos of you that you provided.
Another interesting thing is the 4 years I spent in the Navy, I was never on a naval ship, but I did ride the Coast Guard cutter from New Zealand to Antarctica, the Northwind, because they had wanted somebody to take pictures for their cruise ship. Well, I was so bored by my third station down there, I volunteered for it.
Well, I know some Navy guys who never were on a ship, and that's not unusual to hear, but it was just an unusual subject. I thought that we're going to have you on so we can talk about your experiences down there. And thank you for your service in the Navy.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service in Antarctica and the studies that you did down there. We've come to the end of this session of Veterans of the Cedar Valley. Please tune in again when we have another episode with either Sid Morris or myself. And thank you for joining us. Thank you for viewing us.